We are live. Good to see you today, my EOS Podcast friends. We have a fun show today. We have John from DexEOS, and we're going to talk about the platform that he's built. Of course, we're going to talk about everything EOS. So, John, go ahead and introduce yourself.
So I'm John, and I'm one of the co-founder of DexEOS. We are a decentralized exchange based on EOS. I know maybe some of you might have heard of us, and maybe some of you not. But we have been around since beginning of August, and yeah, hopefully we're here to stay as well. So yeah, that's a short brief about us, and I will go a bit deeper into our product a bit later on.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk all about DexEOS. What I like to do is start the show with, what do you think the most interesting thing going on in EOS right now in general is?
So I think there are two things I would like to talk about regarding the EOS, like in the current state. One thing is the CPU problem that a lot of people are facing right now. And the other thing is the user acquisition problem when it comes to EOS. Because as everyone knows, EOS is, I always like when I explain EOS to someone who doesn't understand about the EOS, I always tend to compare it to Bitcoin and to Ethereum, and then I will explain EOS, because majority of the people knows what Bitcoin and Ethereum is, and I always to make it simple for everyone to understand, because it's quite a difficult concept. I usually say like, oh, imagine that Bitcoin is generation 1, then Ethereum is generation 2, and then EOS is generation 3. So there are a lot of course, as everyone who watched this podcast might be really familiar with EOS already. So we all know the benefits, the strength, and so on. But a very big hurdle, I think, that EOS is facing right now is user acquisition. How to bring in new users into the community, or people who are not familiar with EOS, how to take them from outside to inside it. It has been a recurring problem, but I think it is still one that is not solved yet. And that is because the account creation process is really difficult right now. And it has always been like that. And you require some I should just in layman's term, you require some money to create an account compared to the other two protocols that I mentioned. So that is something I would want to delve a bit deeper into today to see how we can potentially solve it, and how we can potentially tackle this problem. So.
Oh, do you have ideas on that, of how to tackle that, or what's your opinion on that?
So basically, before I go into my opinion, why it's hitting us like extra hard, this problem, is because we have a decentralized exchange, as everyone knows, and we really noticed that in the beginning when it was released, that a lot of people were jumping on. We see like the user acquisition rate was quite healthy, was very healthy. But after a period of time, it started to slow down, and it reached a point that it doesn't go up anymore. And the reason is because the pool itself is not so big anymore. And that is how we noticed that problem. And we have like a lot of contacts with a lot of different dApp developers, different wallet projects, and so on and so forth. And they all think the problem is actually the same. So basically, how we can solve this problem, I think, is that we really need to lower the, we really need to lower the barrier of entry for normal people to come in and to use the platform. And you were asking me earlier if we had some idea how to solve this. And actually, we do have some idea. And we are at the moment, apart from our DexEOS exchange, we're working on a side project as well, that we will potentially launch in a couple of months. And that project, we would hope to be able to bring down the barrier entry and even bring in normal users into the EOS community. What it is for the moment, it's not, how should I say, not that convenient to talk about in detail, because it is going to be a small surprise for everyone. But yes, what I can say that it's a product aimed for not the EOS community actually, but it's aimed for the people outside the EOS community. And we are gonna remove the need of knowing what a private key and knowing to need what an EOS account is completely for those users. So basically they can use our product without knowing that they're using an EOS product. And while they're using it, during that time, that is the time they will know a bit more and more and more what EOS is, and they get curious themselves, and they will try to learn themselves what EOS is, if they want to. But they can similarly use the product without needing to know what EOS is at all. And I think that is how we should start, and that is how it should start to bring in new users, to intrigue their curiosity, and then they would try to learn more about it. But in order to bring in like my brother, maybe my aunt, maybe my cousin, like people that are really not used to blockchain and not used to this I could say this world, we have to like just tear down the barrier of entry for them and give them something that they can use.
Yeah, that's a good point. I saw Eva, the car, like the Uber on blockchain, had an interesting take on that. They're making all the blockchains in the back end. All the EOS tokens are traded on the back end, or they may have a native token that's traded on the back end.
Yes.
People operate in dollars, but then there's ways to earn through staking, and there's mechanisms to earn. So when they earn, they see their wallet kind of start stacking up this token. That's what gets them curious there is, oh, maybe I should look in further because it looks like I have some money here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a great approach. I think that a lot of dApps are thinking that way now, that hiding the blockchain layer so that people don't have to deal with it. I think that's really a good idea. I look forward to your guys' secret announcement coming up. When you make it, call me and come back on the show, and we'll put
definitely.
We'll
then it might be under it might be under a different name as well. Okay. But we're at the same time working hard on DexEOS as well. So yeah, hopefully that will bring in new people into the fold, because even though like the accounts are being created in EOS in a quite healthy rate, there are a lot of idle accounts as well. So the active user these days is not that like many in the greater scheme of things. And we definitely want to bring that up.
I would almost guess that the active users is probably, I would guess it's pretty small. Like I can just speak for myself. Creating accounts has gotten easier, and there's been more reasons to create accounts now.
Exactly.
And so like me personally, since mainnet launch, I wasn't creating that many new accounts. And then like in the last month or two, I just started creating all these accounts for all these different things because it became easier. So it's probably a combination between our actually onboarding more users and the users that are in the EOS blockchain are getting more savvy and creating more accounts. So
definitely. And there are a lot of free accounts that you can get from here and there these days as well. There are a lot of like free account promotion. So you don't necessarily have to spend that dollar or two to create that account these days.
Yeah.
But still, it's still a hurdle for my aunt. I really like to bring my aunt as an example, because you when people think about aunt, then you think about, oh, it's someone that is like very kind, very nice, but not so tech, how to say, not so techy. So if you can convince your aunt and she's able to use that, then everyone can use that.
Yeah, if auntie's using EOS, we need aunties on EOS. That's there it is. Aunties on EOS, or aunties or aunties on EOS. That's our new tagline. I like it. I'm gonna write it down. Even we're putting it out there. I'll give you credit for it. Aunties on EOS.
Nice, aunties on EOS.
Aunties on EOS. There it is. I like it's different parts of the world say EOS, EOS.
Mm.
So I'm starting to go with EOS. It's a little bit softer, I think. I like it.
What do you usually
I
say?
guess EOS. EOS. It's got a hard O. It
Oh,
sounds a little, it's a little bit more,
EOS.
EOS. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Maybe I got how should I say affected by my Korean teammates and I caught their pronunciation.
It's not just Korea. It's even, I think it's just, it's even like, even people in San Francisco, some say EOS and some say EOS. I think it's just preference at this point. I think I'm going for EOS though. It's like I said, it sounds prettier, I think.
Or softer.
Yeah, softer. Yeah. We'll go with it. You also mentioned the CPU. What are your thoughts on CPU? I know that people are getting their accounts stuck, and that kind of sucks for UX.
Yeah, exactly. It's really, especially because we're handling with a lot of, we're in contact with a lot of, how should I say, wallets, and wallets has different like DApp games, and most of the games these days are like dice games, gambling games. But like what's happening now is that the CPU has gotten so expensive, especially the past couple of days, that after, even though you stake around 10 EOS, then you can only do like 1 to 2 transactions, and that is really really harsh for the normal users. How can they stake about 100 EOS in order to do like tens of transactions? That doesn't make sense, and that is something that we really have to solve in order to bring a better experience to the normal users. And how should I put it? The problem is like it's not only like once either. It's like recurring from time to time. So at times it goes well. Like you can do the transaction you want for the right amount of transaction for the number of EOS you stake. But then it becomes a time when that it really gets stuck, and we especially see it when people want to trade on our exchange and so on. So that is something I hope it will be solved in the near future. And I was wondering if what your take is on that. Have you been feeling that as well?
Yeah, I actually have a real world example. I was using Infiniverse today. I bought the Golden Gate, part of the Golden Gate Bridge. I bought one of the towers on the Golden Gate Bridge. So I'm the proud owner of that. And I bought the center field of the San Francisco Giants Stadium. And I bought the Salesforce building. So I was playing around on Infiniverse. Yeah, so I was playing around on Infiniverse today. But I was like, okay, I'm going to do a few transactions, and I staked 30 EOS, thinking, okay, that's funny. I just didn't want to have to deal with it, And
exactly.
Yeah, and then I go through and I do those 3 transactions, and I go to do a 4th one, and I was out of CPU, and so I didn't want to deal with it anymore, so I just shut it off, and so I stopped using Infiniverse when I would have. Kept playing around with it. I was having fun, but I just didn't feel like going to CPU or emergency since I already went to them earlier that day. So, man, it really hurts user experience. But what I have seen, I saw a tweet from Dan. I don't know if you've seen it. It says that they're going to have some sort of code update that allows basically dApps to pay for their users' CPU. Have you seen that? Are you familiar with that?
No, actually, I haven't seen that.
Okay, yeah. So that's so there is a fix in the works, and essentially what it's going to do is it's going to allow the dApp itself to stake on behalf of their users, and so that should solve a lot of the problems. It'll be a massive draw, and it's going to take a lot of liquid EOS or leased EOS on the behalf of dApps, but that'll help a lot, I think.
But wouldn't it be like, even though dApps can stake for the users, wouldn't it be, if one transaction costs, let's say it costs around like 5 EOS, wouldn't it be very like cost heavy for the dApps themselves?
Well, I mean, with the EOS price like it is right now, it'd be extremely cost heavy. Yeah. So yeah, that may, and also you can imagine like maybe competing dApps like spamming the other dApps network to drain their CPU or something like that, you know?
Exactly. So it removes the problem from the user side to the dApp side, but like the bigger problem is still there. I mean, the cost doesn't go down, and it maybe even becomes like the stronger dApps will always be the strongest one because they can just get more revenue and they can like stake for more CPU, and the more revenue and more CPU, and that brings it more and it makes more expensive environment for everyone else.
Yeah. Well, I guess as the blockchain it gets faster, that the CPU price should come down, you know, which is a little bit longer term. And also one of the big kind of visions of Dan is to have multiple side chains and multiple sister chains. So dApps that get big enough may need to have their own side chain so they have enough resources.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is definitely a solution that we're looking into as well.
Yeah. But none of this is a short-term solution. none of this kind of fixes the fact that you know, people who are actually using EOS and doing stuff with it are getting logged out. So yeah, so short-term, yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, but like as everyone, all the viewers know, like EOS is still at the very infant stage. It's not even like 1 year. It's how much, like around half a year after launch, and every product has a problem in the very beginning of the launch. No matter if it's like a new computer, a new like game console, or like it's I think in the greater scheme of things, it's doing pretty well actually for this new like technology and yeah, this kind of revolutionary product. You can definitely call it revolutionary.
Yeah, what's most it is just a baby right now. I mean, picture a 6-month-old baby. They're not really doing that much. So
exactly.
Yeah, but what's inspiring to me is how much is going on, how many projects are being built, how many people are working on it, like how much passion and community there is behind it, and you know, how quickly it's moving. So even though it seems like it's moving slow, it's moving fast, I think. So.
It's really fast. Like who I don't know who I quote it from, but they say like one day in the blockchain is like 1 year in the normal tech world.
Yeah. That's actually my slogan on the EOS podcast is where a day equals a month. EOS blockchain, where a day equals a month, or something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly.
Day equals a month on the EOS blockchain. Yeah. But yeah, I probably actually stole that from somewhere else. Who knows? I probably wasn't creative to come up with that myself, but I'm using it. So,
no, but like if you didn't hear it from somewhere, then it's also.
Yeah, I don't know. If someone thinks they made that up, call me and you can, you know, we can. I'll give you credit for the slogan. Yeah. So speaking of stuff that's being built, I mean, you've built DexEOS. So where is it at? Well, actually, first let's start at the base, just in case people aren't real familiar. What is a DEX? Why is it important? What's different about a DEX from a normal trading exchange?
So basically, like decentralized exchange, they are or they aim to be P2P exchange solution. So basically, people are trying to remove a complete DEX. They're trying to remove the middleman. Someone is that holds your asset in order for you to be able to trade. Let's take like centralized exchange for example. If you have some tokens, some coins, you have to first deposit into those tokens or coins into their system. And when you want to make the trade, and when the trade is happening, actually what's happening is that only the databases changes. What you see on the screen is just numbers changes. It's exactly the same if they had a notebook, and when you make some trade, then they just scribble it down on the notebook what trade is happening. And actually when the user are taking out that money, then the real transaction happen. Then it's when they transfer out the token or the coins back into your accounts. And then it's when it's really yours, it's when you withdraw the tokens. But for decentralized exchanges, it aims to be, because I should put a small disclaimer first, because true decentralization is still a term that is not really well defined. It can be many stages. Some believe that decentralized is like when something is totally like in no one's control. But some also believe that maybe there's it has to be a small, how should I say, facilitator to make it happen. So, but if I should put it in a true decentralized world, then it should happen that when I want to trade my token for something else, I should immediately receive it into my account or into my wallet, and it should be in real time, and it should also be transparent, and we can see all the transactions going on, and that is what DEXs are for. But these days, majority of DEXs, they have a kind of the order book. When people are matching the orders, it has to be facilitated from the DEXs in order to make it as smooth as possible for the trading to be made. So some will argue is that, oh, well, then if you're handling the order book and if it's in your database, then it means that you're not truly decentralized. And that is a lot of how should I say, that is the weak point that a lot of people are attacking, that if you call yourself a decentralized exchange, so why do you have the order book and do the matching yourself? Shouldn't it all be like all be done like without you meddling in? But like, truth to be told, if that were the case, first of all, it would be too slow, because everything has to be executed on the mainnet, and it will be difficult to handle a big load of transactions. So in order to make it easier for everyone, then most decentralized exchanges that are up there, I would say the majority of them, they have to handle their own order book. But all in all, what decentralized exchange can give you is that you have control of your own account. So you can use your EOS account in any exchanges as you want, and you can have like even the token and the assets you own. You can jump from one DEX to another DEX to a third DEX, and it will be the same. Compared to if you go to one centralized exchange to a second one to a third one, then you have to open 3 different accounts and you have to transfer the asset to each account. And that is one of the major difference. Apart from that, every transactions made is transparent. You can track everything that is happening, where your tokens are going, who does it go to, and you're also eligible, because the assets you own are yours, you're eligible to get all the airdrops for yeah, that is something that was a bit of a problem in the very beginning. Of course, some centralized exchanges also offering that, but many doesn't, since your tokens are in someone else's hands, so the airdrops that they get, it will be theirs. But for the centralized exchanges, you can keep it yourself, since it's your account you're dealing with. And why we're doing it on EOS, because of the TPS, the transaction per second, is high enough to be able to nearly have it in real time. And that is something that Ethereum-based decentralized exchange it's a problem they are facing, because they have to wait too long to one transaction to take place. Even though they are decentralized exchange, it takes a bit too long. So I hope I could, maybe that was a bit difficult answer, but I hope the viewers could understand.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I'll try to recap just a bit of it, because I have a question regarding part of it that I'm not real sure about myself. So with regular exchanges, basically it's like you're putting your money in this bank account. Everyone puts their money in the same account. You do all these transactions on a ledger, and then when you pull it out, they say, okay, now you have this much. You take it back out of the bank account. That's how regular ones work. Decentralized exchanges work, whereas I just bring my wallet in, and all the other people in the order book have their wallets. And when I make a trade, it just goes from my wallet to their wallet. It doesn't go somewhere else. Now, that's kind of the spot that I have the question about. You said that a decentralized exchange where they need centralization is someone needs to take care of the order book. Now, are they just keeping the database, like the ledger of the order book, and keeping that all centralized and organized, but the money is still going directly wallet to wallet, or does the money have to pass through somewhere else?
The money has to, like, it depends how each decentralized exchange has set it up, because it's up to the exchange's choice to do it. So our choice, how we do it, and how most other major decentralized exchanges does it, is that when you make an order, the token will pass through our account first, and in our account we do the matching, and then it goes out to the respective accounts again. So basically, in a split second, we will hold the token and we will pass it on to each other. So it's not really peer-to-peer in that case. So it will go through our wallet and it goes out again. And the reason for that is that it's to make the matching easier. Because let's say person A is gonna sell like one token A, and person B is gonna he wants to buy two of them, then it doesn't really match, because one wants one, but one wants to buy two and the other one wants to sell one, and it doesn't match. And to facilitate these kind of issues, we have to do it we have to like bring everything in and then distribute it to everyone. It's doable, like people to people, but it requires much more, how should I say, it requires much more work, and it will definitely be slower. And because of everyone can see the transaction that is coming in and out from the how should I say, the DEX wallet, then we technically functionally there's no difference.
Yeah. And so, so it's much more work to go really directly peer-to-peer. And then as you try to scale that work gets probably exponentially worse, which is rough. So,
exactly.
And I guess the argument for this would be that it's not like the big difference between like a centralized exchange is there's a honeypot basically of money there where your money's, where your EOS or your tokens are sitting, where hackers are trying to get to, and you're not actually owning those tokens. Now, that's not necessarily the case here. You're not owning your tokens temporarily, but they're not sitting somewhere. I guess they're not in danger for as long of a period of time. Would that be a good way to put it?
So basically, if you put an order, and you, for example, you want to buy I try to not mention any like names. That's why I'm using ABC and not mentioning an exchange name in this podcast. So let's say you want to buy token A, and you have to deposit some, and you want to buy it for you want to buy the equivalent amount of 100 EOS for it, and you want to buy it a set amount of price. So you have to deposit the 100 EOS first and wait until someone can match your order. And those 100 EOS will be sitting in the DEX wallet for that moment. So in order for the hacker, so in our case, in our wallet. So the problem comes now, how can a hacker get those funding from us? It's basically the same as hacking a mainnet account. So if they want to hack that, then they basically have to hack mainnet account.
And each account individually, as opposed to just hacking the whole order book.
Even though they hack the order book, it doesn't matter, because they just get the data. There is no token sitting there. The tokens is sitting in our account, which is a EOS account, basically the same as everyone else's account. So that is the same system that everyone, all the dApps are using, all the gambling dApps, all the other DEXs are using. They are, if they want to hack their bank, for example, their account, they really have to get their private keys in order to hack in order to hack that account. And how each company is handling their own private keys, that's another story. Obviously, if I post out our private key out to the open, then of course someone can take us. But compared to centralized exchange, Yeah, that is the main difference. That everyone can also see our balances, how much it is in there in each wallet.
Oh, cool. Yeah, well, that makes sense. I understand that, and do you have any of your security, like what your private key security is like that you'd like to share, or is that, or you just want to say that?
You mean like how we store our private key for our
I mean, you don't have to
Dex
tell me
wallet?
how you store it, but I mean, if it's or like maybe how often you change it, like if you keep it offline, that type of stuff.
Oh, we change it pretty often. So how should I say? Yeah, I think I will refrain from going into how we're storing it and giving out the details, since it's open.
It's probably a safe way to do it. Let's just say it's secure, and we can,
let's just say it's secure.
We'll go with you on that one. So what, I'm not, probably should be a little bit more familiar with the Bancor protocol, but can you tell me, is this the way that works as well, or is Bancor like peer-to-peer with no order book? I haven't actually used it.
Oh, so have you been, you know how the RAM price functions, right?
Yeah.
So the more people who how should I say, the more people who buy it, the more expensive it becomes, and the more people sell it, the less the price becomes. And when it comes to the Bancor, it works like, for example, if you issue a token through the Bancor, first of all, you put in through a smart contract your EOS into the Bancor system, and the Bancor system, I would call it in that way, in layman term, it will issue some tokens to you. But everything when you trade, you don't trade to another person, you trade with the system. So basically, when you want to sell those tokens again that you bought, and you want to retrieve, and you want to get back your EOS or whatever token they are dealing with, then those tokens usually get destroyed or they disappear, and you get your originally the price, the EOS back, if it's EOS they use. So that is how Bancor works. You trade it with the system through a smart contract, and it's completely, how should I say? It's completely not controlled by, I should rephrase that. It's completely done through a smart contract. I should put it in that way.
Good.
But like, of course, the one who controls the Bancor, they can change something called the weight, and they can change certain values in there. So you just have to believe in the company who is issuing that Bancor trade.
Yeah, which kind of takes us. Which kind of takes us full circle to the. We want this full decentralization, but there seems like there's always a sticking point. Well, someone has to take care of it somewhere along the way to make it efficient.
Exactly. So basically, even Bancor, even if I'm saying that you trade through a smart contract with the system, and everything is controlled by the smart contract, but in the end of the day, the one who made that contract can always change it. Mm-hmm. So you just have to believe in that project or that company or whoever is handling it. And that is like you said, it comes back into full circle. So I try to refrain as much as possible to say like incorrect things, or like in this interview. So I don't want to say like, oh, because it's smart contract is safe, then it's like everything's happening automatically, and you don't have to worry about it, because everyone can also, if it's made public, everyone can see it. But that everyone can see it doesn't mean that it cannot be changed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we can get back to DexEOS here a little bit. Where are you at as far as your roadmap goes, and as far as how's your liquidity doing, and what's the future look like?
So basically, I should maybe even start like how we started with DexEOS altogether. Maybe I should go into that first. Actually, our team, the DexEOS team, before we were dealing with blockchain, we were actually digital marketing team. We were doing like AI, digital marketing. We were a startup, a traditional startup. So we have been doing like, we have been running for about 2 years before we jumped on board of the EOS train. And where it happened was, I think it was during June in the Hong Kong EOS hackathon. We joined that hackathon to try out our developer skill. Back then, we knew very, very, very little about what blockchain is, and even less what EOS is. So we just thought like, oh, why not? Let's try out our developers, their skills, and then let's just go there and have a good time. And after going to that EOS Hong Kong hackathon, we got really interested. That is the point when we got very interested in EOS. And when we came back to Korea, we thought, oh, why not make something? Why not make something that is EOS based? Why not jump into this blockchain now when it's so hot? And like, and we really believe that EOS was really the future. And so when it comes to like blockchain and EOS, we all started to learn. Our learning point was from June. Actually, we started to learn everything. So we had before that we had no idea what, like, of course we had some idea what blockchain was, but we had no idea about what EOS was. We didn't, even though we knew what blockchain was, it was at the fundamental level. We didn't have, we basically we knew nothing. So we jumped on board and we thought like, oh, EOS is so new, so why not make a decentralized exchange for the tokens that will come out in this protocol. So after we came back, we quickly made our DEX in a month, basically. We made it in a month. Back in the days, a lot of people were speculating, oh, like, will this company be will company A be the first one, or will company B be the first one? Yeah. One of them will be the first. One will be the first one who come up with a DEX. And then suddenly DexEOS popped up from nowhere, and people were really surprised by it. And we launched, actually, I think as far as I know, we were actually the world's first decentralized exchange, and we came out around the 1st of August 2018. And then 10 days later, another DEX came out, and then they have been successively coming out. So we were actually the first one who came out, and we were been working with this for 1 month or two. And then during October, and during October, during a month and a two there, we had another big project going on then, and that was not DexEOS. So we basically slowed down the development a bit. We slowed down our development a bit, and we just let it run as it was, and we were dealing with the other project. It was another big Korean company that has taken interest in us, and they wanted us to help them. We wanted to collaborate. I shouldn't like mention that company's name there, but like in this podcast. But it's a really well-known, like world-known like Korean company, like big corporation that wanted to have some collaboration with us. And they wanted to have some blockchain collaboration because they thought that we were, back then, even though we just learned it for 3 months, they really wanted our knowledge, and they wanted to make some project together and we could help each other. So during that period, we kind of slowed down on the development of DexEOS a little bit. And because of that, a lot of other like DEXs were able to like catch up on us very fast, especially the most popular one right now, which is unfortunately not us now. But like then November came, and we thought like, okay, now we have time again, so let's jump back on DexEOS, and let's put in full power into DexEOS. So recently, a week or two ago, we just launched DexEOS 2.0, we call it in-house. And as a lot of DexEOS users, they maybe have noticed that after these 2 weeks, DexEOS suddenly changed. It's because we pushed out a new big update. And this a big update, we're aiming to retake the market with this update. And so we're planning to retake the update. We're planning also, back then we only concentrated on the Western on the Western users, but right now we are gonna get into the Asian markets as well, because as everyone knows, the most EOS transactions are right now being made in China. And back then we had our servers in Amazon, and Amazon is blocked in China. So basically we couldn't have any Chinese users. So then we moved our servers to Aliyun. We're putting it in Hong Kong. And right now a Chinese user can also get access to DexEOS from like 1.5 weeks ago. So right now we are pushing strongly into China and into other Asian countries, and to get up our volume again, get up our liquidity again, and get up our name value again. We have been showing up like here and there, so I think that we
Sounds like you're cutting out there a bit. You're frozen right now, John, but I'm interested to hear when you come back on. There seems like there's some. I'm wondering what the differentiators between these different DEXs are, because like he was saying, there's so many different DEXs that have popped up recently, and I don't know what the kind of the unique selling points for different DEXs are, or if they're just doing a race for liquidity or a race to gain users. It's almost, I don't know if there's key differentiators, or the key differentiator is the users and the liquidity. That's kind of the question I have there. So it looks like John's popping back on now. And also it'll be interesting to see with the DEX that comes out possibly from block 1, what's going on. All right. Can you hear me, John?
Oh yes, I changed the Wi-Fi and I got my laptop charger. It was gonna die soon. So
okay, cool.
I took the liberty. Yeah.
Well, good to make it happen before it dies. So what are the key differentiators between the different DEXs? Like there's, like you were saying, there's a bunch of different DEXs. Are they running nearly the same type of operations, or is there some big differences, or is this just a race to gain users and that's the main difference?
I think the main difference is, first of all, the trust, the team behind it, and it's, how should I say, and like you said, the race to gain new users, because functionally, it's all very similar. But like in the back end, it might be a big difference between each DEXs. For example, some DEXs require like a couple of seconds to match the orders. Some DEXs requires like maybe 30 seconds, and some DEXs require 1 minute. And some DEXs in the back end, although like normal users don't know, orders can be dropped. The loss will be incurred on the DEX if that happens. And how each DEX solve it is different. But on the front end, it's very similar, each of them.
Okay, yeah, so the front end's the same. It's just how basically well put together the back end is. But from a user standpoint, that's not such an issue. So I'm thinking from the user standpoint, where I usually go is wherever the most liquidity is, or or wherever the top couple of places the liquidity is somewhere that I would.
Exactly. Okay. So basically, it's gonna be a race to who is gaining the most liquidity, who is getting the more users. And unfortunately, most these days, because of even though there are many there are users on EOS, but there are not that many users and that many daily active users. So how should I put it? So a lot of it's maybe a bit sensitive, but we know that a lot of DEXs are using like trading bots in order to make their volume and make the users and so on and so forth. And that is actually a very, very common thing. So you can see like suddenly a DEX suddenly get a lot of volume and a lot of, and then it's going down and up and down. And then you can also see that some DEXs are using bots to keep their volume at a certain place. For example, if the daily, let's say if the daily trading volume is like 100 EOS, but if that day it's only 50, then they would bot it up to 100. Mm-hmm. But if it's really at 100, then they won't how to say, release any bot then.
Okay.
So activate any bot. So a lot of these things are happening, and so basically depending on what DEX you want to collaborate with and what DEX you want to use, it's I should put it in a more unbiased point of view. It's like the one with the best user experience and with the best UI and like how well it functions and so on. And like you said, liquidity is the most important one. Right now we are unfortunately not on the top of the liquidity, and we are gonna, with the DexEOS 2.0, now we're gonna hit hard on the Chinese market and regain our lost momentum. I should put it in that way.
Yeah. What so that's where you're at right now. You've just released 2.0. You're going to try to regain some of the liquidity, and then what's the future look like for you?
So the future, basically, remember the secret project that we were talking about back in the day. So basically, the reason why we slowed down is partly because of the Korean big corporations that we're cooperating with, but also partially we are doing that project because we're thinking like this. If you think about it this way, right now, if let's say our daily active users is 200 people, but like the first place, let's say our daily active users is 500 people, and then the first place is 1,000 people, okay? And the difference between 500 and 1,000, it's double. Then if you think it that way, it's a lot. But if you think it in another way, 500, 1,000 users, or even 2,000 users, it's really nothing. In the tech world, let's say you released a game and then suddenly you only had like 500 users playing that game, or 1,000 users playing that game. We thought that it's really not something we want to pour all our energy to compete with to get another 500 users. So that's why we are making a project now that project will not only be able to gain like 500 users, 1,000 users, but it will be it's aimed to gain like 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 users. So it will get all the aunts, like grandma and aunts and brothers. And when those people come on board, I think that is the most important thing. So that's why that is our goal right now, to not compete for this circle, but we want to compete we want to bring in new people into that circle and make that circle bigger. And that is our aim and goal right now. Of course, we have to run our normal DEX well as well. That's why we are, even though right now I say it's not important to put all your energy to jump from 500 to 1,000, but we cannot like fall into like the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th place of the DEX. So we still have to keep our DEX alive, but we think that another solution instead of like running like bang our heads against like 1,000 users pool, it's better to make something that is beneficial for the whole EOS community and just bring in outside new users into the fold.
Yeah, I mean that's a brilliant way to look at it. That's thinking a little bit bigger. It's thinking outside the box. It's trying to create some sort of massive value that just draws users in, because like you're saying, 500 is not very many, and it's such a small pool. Might as well make the pool bigger.
So why not, instead of competing in the pool, just make the pool bigger? And we have to think in that. We have to think in that way actually, because right now the ecosystem, what's happening now is everyone is competing to take the biggest chunk of that pool. So why not just make the pool itself bigger and everyone can have a bigger piece of that? And there was one thing I was gonna say, but I forgot it. You can go on. I can just.
That's okay. I'm sure you'll remember it once we move forward a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the roadmap that Block One has as far as releasing a wallet, releasing possibly a social media platform, possibly their own DEX? How's that play into your plans?
I think it's really, really good that they are releasing that, because then people can have how should I say, an official product to use. And since a lot of there's already a lot of existing wallets right now and a lot of existing DEX right now, and so on and so forth. So when Block One releases releases their own one, then there will be a competition in this market, a big competition. And I think competition always drives technology, because like it drives technology and it drives improvement. Because what people say, like back then in the startup world, people think that because we were doing startup for 2 years, people think that, if let's not do this project because I know that there's another team who's already working on it like 6 months before us. So if we jump on it now, it's too late. But I think that kind of thinking is wrong, because someone, I think you should think in that way instead, because someone is making this product as well as you are making it, as well as a third party is making it, it means that there's a market. It means that there's market. If you make something that no one else is making, it means that it doesn't necessarily mean that you have a brilliant idea. It just might mean that there is no market for that thing. So we believe that learning from our startup previous experience, that if more people are doing it, it really means that there's a there's a need, and there is a market for it. And so we believe it's really, really good that Block One is doing it themselves, and it brings the standard up for everyone to keep.
Great. How many people are on your team? How many?
We're actually, that was the point I was gonna say. Our team is actually only 10 people. We're actually a 10 people team. We're a very small team, but we believe that we're also a very efficient team, because we're able to really quickly even gotten some recognition from Block One, that even from the Hong Kong hackathon, that we were able to make something from an idea phase and to the product, and also to make it happen. We can do that transition very fast. And that is because, like I told you, like I mentioned a couple of times before, we have been doing like startup before. We have failed many times as well. We know that for the first time to make from idea to product, it took a half a year, and then we failed. And the second time it took maybe 3 months, and then it maybe failed. And then the third time it maybe take only like 1.5 months. And so we are cutting down the process each time and streamlining it. We know what's important, what's not, what you should think about, what you should do. That's why we were able to push out DexEOS in just a month of time. It was not because like we were lucky or we were like a fluke. It was because of all the failures we had before from our traditional business. So we knew what's important and how you should bring something from idea phase to really execute that thing. I think that is the most important. And so we are a team of 10. Back to the team question. And our developers number, we only have 3 developers that is actively working on the product, 1 designer, and a couple of product managers. And that is our team right now. And if you compare to the number 1 Dex right now, they have 60 people from what I know working on it. Yeah, they are a 60 people team, and we are a 10 people team. So considering that, I think we are doing fairly not bad, actually.
Yeah, sounds like you guys are doing good, and you're lean too. That's good for when we have these market turn downs like now. I know that a lot of the block producers are feeling the squeeze right now because, when the price is $10, $15, it's a lot different game if you have a 15 person team than when the price is $3. So yeah, that's good. That makes you resilient and robust when you're lean like that. So
exactly. Yeah, the lead, that was the word I was looking for. Yeah. That was the word I was looking for. So talking about the team, I should also mention that we're like very international team as well. We are about 6-7 Koreans, and 1 is from, and then the 8th one is from Tanzania, but he was studying in Korea for around 6 years, and he's one of our lead developer. I will bring him in just a few moments. And then we have a community manager that is from US and also from Norway. And me, myself, I'm actually from Sweden. I was born in Sweden, I was raised in Sweden, but my parents are from China, Hong Kong. So we are the non-Koreans here in the Korean team. So we're very international. We are able to communicate with our, how should I say, with the West. We're also able to communicate well with the East, with Korea, with China, and as well as Europe and US. So we believe our major strength and our biggest strength in our team is that we are very international and we can cover most continents around the world. And that is something that I believe is a unique point of ours, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. That's huge. That's what a lot of the block producers are working on as well, is kind of bridging this gap between so there's more communication between the East and Western communities, because they're very siloed at this point. So
definitely, that is actually something I forgot to bring up in the very first section when you were asking how I saw the EOS was going. I wanted to talk about the communities a bit, because it's very isolated between the East and the West. And the East, especially China and Korea, especially China, it's a totally different beast altogether. They do things differently. They do business differently. The way of thinking is different. They are very, very fast of execution. And while the West is more like, how should I say, it's more like stable. It's a very close, tightly knit community, and it's just a very, very different dynamics. So I think it's one thing why it's so hard for those two to collaborate. It's that their business mindset, their strategic mindset, and the way to handle things, to do things, to communicate is very, very different. So it really requires a team that knows both of it to be handled both ways very, very well. And we know a couple of teams that has that ability, and we are very close with that team, and we really appreciate what they are doing. And they are very, very similar to us. 10 people, very lean, and just be able to bridge this gap.
Yeah, and you see that recently with the Start EOS, and in the West, people are looking at Start EOS, which is a block producer who is essentially a secondary block producer to another block producer. They basically spun up two, and people are angry because not only are they buying votes, but now they have two block producers that are getting paid. So in the West, people are saying, "Oh, this is going to basically ruin EOS." But but Start EOS put out a Medium article explaining their point of view, and it's almost just like this big cultural difference where they're saying, you know what, we're adding this much value to the chain. Like, we are entrepreneurs, and this is what we're doing, and we're not hurting the chain, we're helping it. And so it's just they're coming at this same thing from complete opposite ends of the spectrum because of, like you said, different business mentalities or different approaches possibly. So yeah, it's interesting to see it play out.
Definitely. And I just want to make a shout out, because I never mentioned any name from until now, because you were talking about block producers, but I just want to make a shout out to EOS Sweden, because I think I even though I don't like to mention any name, but since I'm from Sweden myself, I need to support my fellow countrymen.
Of course. Yeah. I got to meet EOS Sweden at the San Francisco hackathon, so you probably saw them there as well.
Exactly. They are an awesome team. They are very, very community focused. Everything they do is for the greater good for the community. So yeah, please give them some support.
Yes, absolutely. They got my support. I got to hang out with them in San Francisco. They're one of my favorite groups of people. So
they're really cool, those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I don't know if you're gonna jump to the next topic, but maybe if you are, I can, since we're still talking about our team, let me bring in two of our main developers and maybe let them say hi to the EOS community and to the people in your.
Yeah, go ahead and bring them in.
Okay.
And that'll be perfect.
Okay. Just give me a moment.
Yeah, I had a chance to meet EOS Sweden at the San Francisco hackathon. It's so rad to go to this hackathon and meet these people from all over the world that I've basically just been hanging out with online for so long. We had one point where me and what's his name, Gunnar Pope, who is a developer and part of the EOS community, and one of my other buddies that I met out there for the first time from Steemit. How am I not? Oh, Brian Phobos. We ended up, we were hanging out, and we ended up on the roof of the hotel for like till about 4 a.m, just having conversation about how EOS was going to change the world. So that kind of fun stuff happens. Oh, here they are, the development team for DexEOS. Hey, it's nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you. So let me give a brief introduction. This is on my left. It's Leko, and he's very, very active in for example, in the Telegram, in any social media channels. Most of you who is following DexEOS might know who he is, but now you can see him like in real person.
There he is in real life.
And Braca here, he's more like he's not as active, but he's as important. So these two guys are our main developer for DexEOS. Maybe you want to ask them some specific question or something?
You know what? I could ask you what makes the back end of DexEOS kind of what sets it apart from the other DEXs out there? Tough question, huh?
It's a tough question, and you can.
It's just I would say maybe speed and security. Many new DEXs are coming out right now, but there's been so many issues like block confirmation time and things like that. We have we started really early. We were the first to release, so we had a lot of experience with dealing with things like those kind of errors, and we've been able to fix them, and it's been working out well so far. I think that could be the difference.
Yeah, I think speed's one of the most important part. We were talking about what we thought the most important parts of DEXs were, and it was kind of the amount of liquidity, and then the user interface and the speed of the transactions. It's kind of what it comes down to.
Yes,
yeah.
That's true.
Cool. Yeah. Did you guys have any other thoughts on that?
Actually, we are preparing to increase the liquid and users. So we are making a new project for that, and we are also preparing some events for increasing the liquidity. So yeah, after that we can grow more than now.
Good. Well, good luck to you guys, and it's a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for coming on to the podcast, and you can say hello and goodbye to your EOS friends out there, but it's great to meet you guys. You guys are doing great work, so thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, yeah.
Okay, thank you guys for coming. So you can always, you guys watching this podcast, you can always reach out to our developers, and they are very nice, and they will always be willing to answer any questions you might have.
Perfect. Well,
thank you for coming. See you.
Yeah. Thank you guys. So as we're kind of starting to wind down here, did you have any other kind of topics that you'd like to cover? I feel like we've covered a lot of the topics about DEXs, where you guys started, where you are now, where you're going. Is there anything else you'd like to cover as we wind down?
Oh, since our community manager was also like in this room now, so I just would like to introduce her as well.
I'll just say hi.
So this is like Christine,
My
one
name's
of
Kristen.
Hey, Kristen, how you doing? Are you from EOS?
Actually, they gave me this shirt.
Okay,
I was in love, but I work for DexEOS doing community management, so I'm living and working here in Seoul. I do a lot of the English side and go to Korean events and try to get it out to the Western world.
So basically, we three, Baraka, Christine, and me, we are the foreign trio in Korea. So we should call it that. And the thing is, like I mentioned, she's from Norway and I'm from Sweden. So I can speak Swedish with her while she's replying back in Norwegian. Eller hur, Kristin?
Ja,
du kan förstå vad jag säger just nu.
Ja, jag kan förstå vad du säger.
Ja. So
you guys got the international squad there. I like it.
Exactly. So
and
I
you
just
speak Chinese as well. So.
yeah.
Big things.
So yeah. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Were you at the hackathon in San Francisco as well? I noticed the Patagonia.
Yes, I was at the hackathon in San Francisco as well. It was a really great event.
Yeah, it was killer, wasn't it? Yeah.
And
Cool.
I went to the one in London too, and it's cool to see like familiar faces whenever you go to all the EOS events and get in touch with what's going on and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a small global community, isn't it? It's nice.
Yeah, it's nice meeting you.
Small but cozy community.
I know.
We love
It's small and global. It's
It's
beautiful.
Really cool.
Cool. Well, it was a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you as well. Have a great day.
You too.
Yeah. So back to what you were saying. I think it's important for most of the teams that are developing on EOS that they maybe show their faces out there, get familiar with the people, like interact with the community. That's why I wanted to take this opportunity to just introduce some of my team members, so people know that, oh, who are the guys who are really behind DexEOS? Like that it's not just a bunch of people behind Telegram names and such, and like you don't know who it is who is running the team behind it. I think that is a part of the trust, a part of the transparency, and also a part of like I mentioned before, interaction with the EOS community. So that's why I brought some people in to your podcast room. I hope it's okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just this is the most free flowing podcast. I mean, not the most free flowing podcast out there, but I don't have many rules for this podcast. We're here hanging out and talking about EOS because we love it. It's a small community, so yeah, letting people to get to know other people in the community, see some friendly faces is awesome. I like that. And for me too. Now I know 3 more people. If I see them at a conference, I can say hi to them, and so that's cool. I like that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think you know most of the people now. I think the one with the most connection, it must be you.
I'm getting some reach for sure. I mean, there's people with more connections than me, but yeah, I've had some fun conversations. It's definitely my favorite part of doing the podcast. The unforeseen benefit for me is all the kind of friends I've made, because you sit there and talk to someone for an hour and a half, and now, you know, if you see them at a conference, it's like, oh, what's up? It's so cool to see you in person. You know, it's like, yeah, I've got a bunch of friends now. I love it. So.
But like, have you ever come to Korea before?
I haven't, but I've got 3 friends over there now. Well, now I've got, if you add those other 3, now I've got 6. So I've got to come out there. Yeah.
So when you have a chance, please come by to Korea, and we will definitely show you around and let you have a good time here.
Oh, I would love that. I want you guys doing karaoke out there, so I need to come out. And do you do karaoke?
Right. We haven't done for a long time, but we are definitely gonna do it when you come over. And we can also introduce you to different blog producers here and the EOS community here as well. Even though it's not a big country, but we have a quite tightly knit EOS community in Korea. So it's good to be introduced to everyone here, so you can get to know all of them at once.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I'll take you up on that invitation. That sounds awesome. I've been meaning to do that since I met Han at Node 1, and then one of my friends from Steemit was out in Korea as well. So now I've got John. So
exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's great to have you on the podcast. I really appreciate your time to come on here. And why don't you let people know where they can find you on the socials, and if you want to have any people check anything out.
Okay, so I just want to leave a last comment. So everyone who is listening to this podcast, please use our DexEOS 2.0. We have upgraded it a lot. And now we are officially back in business, and we are here for the marathon run. And you can check us out at DexEOS.io, and I will leave a link to Brandon here after this podcast. So maybe if you would be so kind to put that link up as well, where they can find us.
I will put it into the show notes, my EOS podcast friends, and I'm going to be supporting DexEOS. Now, I didn't know anything about the project, but now I know a lot about it. I feel Like, it's something I definitely want to support. So when I do my EOS trading, it's now, you're going to have my little tiny bit of liquidity coming through.
Thank you.
So I'm going to help out. Yeah, and you're going to only need 499 users now, so you should be good.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And to people listening to the podcast, I have some of my podcasts are only podcasts. They're not all on YouTube. So if you're just watching the YouTube videos, check out the podcast. It's called the EOS Podcast. You can find it on almost any podcast platform. So check it out there too, so you get all the content. So much love to you. Thanks for coming on, John. And until next time, cheers.
Yeah, goodbye, everyone.
The money is not the prime asset in life. Time is, and your time is just
Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because